In this video, I'm going to teach you how to complete a GER when you have an injury. What you're going to do when you practice is, again, make sure that you are still in test mode. You're going to go to your dashboard, and then you're going to come down to General Event Reports and select New. You then want to select the program and the individual and scroll down and fill out the first set of questions here. And the first one is date of report. We're going to pretend that I'm writing the report today. Event date, again, I'm going to leave this alone. I'm going to pretend that the event happened today as well. So not only am I writing my report today, it also happened today. Remember, again, you have 24 hours to complete your documentation for any incident. If not at the responsible program, I can select here, just like we practiced, but I'm going to pretend that it did happen at the program. And then in this box, I want to describe what happened just before the event. Remember, this is the antecedent, what happened just before the event occurred. And what I've written here for my example is Skip was in the living room fixing some of his climbing gear. I'm then going to scroll down, and remember, if the location is the same as the program address, I can simply click this box and it's going to automatically fill that in for me. I'm going to scroll down some more, and last time we selected other when it came to the event, but this time we have an injury, so we're not going to select other, we're going to select injury. It's going to bring up a new box for us, and you want to maximize that box and then fill in the injury information. Here we're going to select an injury type, and again, you pick the one that best fits whatever the injury is. And for this example, I'm just going to write that Skip has a cut. So I'm going to put cut here. The cause of the injury, he would cut himself while he was fixing his climbing gear. So the best suited answer for this one is an accident other, because it was an accident and it was due to the fact that he was just, the climbing gear slipped and he accidentally cut himself. So I'm going to put accident other. I observed it happen. Sometimes you may discover it, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. The time of the injury, we're going to pretend that this happened today at 10 o'clock a.m. The specific location, he was in the living room, so I'm going to click living room. When you come to the treatment section, if you're the one providing treatment, you're going to label yourself as staff or LPN. If the individual gave themselves treatment, that could go there, family members, so on and so forth. Even the ER hospital, you're still going to have to write a GER and indicate on there that they received treatment from EMS. Now, sometimes you may select none. If the wound was very minor and no treatment was needed, such as a minor bruise, then your answer here would be no treatment. But for this example, I'm going to select that staff LPN provided treatment, which means I did something. And it happened at 10 o'clock, so I would probably give treatment about 10:05, just as soon as it happened, a.m. And the treatment date, if different, I have to select a date here. But I provided treatment immediately, so the date's going to stay the same. When you come here, this is a little bit challenging. Do your best with it. It's really hard to measure how long certain things are, but do your best guess. This is measurements in centimeters, and what they're looking for is the best description possible of the injury. So how long was the cut? I'm going to say it was about 0.5. It was like a half a centimeter. It was about a half of centimeter in width, and I think this gives a good description that it was just a really small cut. The depth, I'm not really sure how deep it was. The injury color is probably going to be red because it's a cut. Injury severity, when it comes to severity, the very minor choice is when you don't provide any first aid treatment. Minor is going to be when you provide first aid, and then it's going to be moderate if the person needed treatment by a doctor. This was a doctor's visit, something like that. Severe is going to be, of course, if EMS arrived and they had to go to the hospital or they were admitted to the emergency room. So for this one, I'm going to click minor because I did provide some first aid for him. We're then going to select the body parts. You can do this one of two ways. You can use the drop down menu and you can select the best choice for where the injury is, or you can use this nifty little tool over here and select body diagram, which will actually pull up the person's body, and as you hover over it, you can select the area where the injury is. And for this, I'm going to pretend that he cut his left hand. So I just click on it, it adds it into my body part list, and I can come down and select done. Now, if you don't want to use the body diagram, that is perfectly fine. If you select the drop down and click on it, it's going to add that to the GER. So either way is fine. In my summary of injury, I would not only want to describe the injury, but I also want to tell what happened. So this is what my example would look like. And here's my injury summary. While Skip was fixing his climbing gear, he pinched his hand in one of the clips. Skip ripped his hand out, causing a small cut on his left hand that resulted in minor bleeding. Notice how I'm describing the incident as well as the injury. That's really important that you do that in this section. When it comes to witnesses, we don't select witnesses, and if I had a photo of it, it would allow me to attach that here. But most of the time, you don't need to take a photo of the injury. You're then going to select add, and that now becomes a part of your GER. Okay, we're then going to come down and we're going to fill out our general information just like we did in a GER without an injury. Suspected abuse is always no, neglect is always no, exploitation is always no, because we have other places for you to document that information. The notification level for this one is low because EMS didn't have to come, you didn't have to go to the emergency room. Reported by me, and the relationship to the individual, I was his staff during this example. You're then going to come down and fill out your notifications just like you did earlier. So here I'm going to add that. My box comes up. I'm going to maximize it. And again, I'm going to list on here that I contacted Andy Plumley. And last time we selected other and then documented on call. But for this example, I'm going to select that she's my supervisor. So that's who I contacted. The date of the notification, remember I have to notify someone within 24 hours, but we prefer that you do that immediately after, especially if it's something serious or if you need assistance. You might be contacting somebody during the time that the event is occurring. So I contacted her today, and this happened at 10 o'clock in the morning. So I actually got on the phone and told her about this about 10:20 a.m. today. And the method of notification, for this one, I just simply sent her an SCOM. And what I'm going to do is select add. Okay, I'm then going to come down to my corrective action or action taken. In this section, when there's an injury, what you're going to do is write what you did to provide care. So for Skip, I did some first aid, and that's going to appear in just a minute for you. Okay, and so my example is cleaned the wound with soap and water, applied triple antibiotic ointment, and covered, and that should say with a Band-Aid. And then my plan for corrective action will monitor cut for 5 days to ensure it is not getting infected and remind Skip to change his Band-Aid daily. And then I come down here, and again, we don't write anything in the review comments, and there are no external attachments, so I'm simply going to click submit. Now, as a direct support professional, you're only going to have an option to save or submit. You won't have this approve option. The approve option is for supervisors. So just simply click submit, and my GER with a skin wound is done. However, I'm not finished with my documentation. After I complete that GER, if there's an injury, I then need to also create a skin wound in a separate location on TheraP. What this allows us to do is to track the injury for 5 days. We are required to do what we call running bruise logs for that period of time to ensure that people's injuries are healing. Now, don't let the term bruise log or skin wound confuse you. A bruise log or a skin wound is done for any mark on a person's body that should not be there. So this could be rashes, it could be cuts, it could be sores, it could be a number of different things other than bruising. So the way that I remember this is it's used for a mark on a person that should not be there. So what we're going to do after we finish the GER with the injury, we're going to go to our dashboard. We're then going to come down to health. Once you click on health, you're going to scroll down to where it says skin wound. You're going to then click on new. And here is my skin wound document. And in the top part, I'm going to enter the individual's name. And notice as I start typing, Skip's name comes up for me and I can just click on it. The program name, this happened at Test Group Home. Make sure that reported by and entered by is your name. The date will be today's date. The notification level was low. And we're going to come down and we're going to document the time of the event. And the time of the event was at 10 a.m. this morning. You may need to jot that time down just so you remember when you're coming to do your skin wound. The body part I'm going to add, and again my diagram will come up. I'm going to click show body diagram and I'm going to come down and click on his left hand, and you can maximize this box to make it easier and click on done, and I'm going to add that. Okay, so now his left hand has been added. I don't have a photo of it. The wound type, remember, was a cut. So I think what's important to know, I'm going to click other here because a cut is different than a laceration. A laceration means a very deep wound affecting deeper layers of the skin, and it's not really an abrasion because that's just the top layer. It was kind of in between. Now, abrasion would work fine, but it's definitely not a laceration. So I'm going to click other here just to give more detail. And there's no real wrong answer for this. It's how you're best describing it. And I'm simply going to put cut in here. The wound stage. Do your best with this. This is a tough one because we're not nursing staff. So just try your best with it. If you don't know what these mean, and I really don't know all of them, I'm just simply going to click other and I'm going to say minor. And what that just says is it's not really, really deep in you know, breaking that thing. If you do know the medical terms, then of course, you know, check them. Blister with skin break, that's self-explanatory. Damage to muscle, tendon, bone, red, hard, hot. You know, these are things that you can, if you know them, select them, but I don't know what they are. So I'm just going to put minor. And I'm going to come down here to my length. Again, I said earlier it was 0.5 and 0.5, and I didn't really know what the depth was. So there's no red asterisk on any of this stuff, so it's not required. I'm doing the best I can with the information. Now, the wound base color is going to be whatever the base color of the wound itself is, and this is red because the wound's red. The surrounding skin is intact because it's the surrounding skin, and the skin color is normal. It's not purple, it's not, you know, it's not changing his skin color. Skin tone is normal. And then, is the wound infected? No. I'm going to come down. If the wound is infected, then you would need to, of course, write this information. Treatment or dressings, I did a Band-Aid. So I'm going to put dry dressing on here, and I can put Band-Aid. Okay, and then I'm coming down to my comments. And in the comments, you're going to describe again the wound. So I'm going to say, wow, and I'll have this show up for. And it magically appeared for you. Skip received a cut on his left hand when his hand got caught in a climbing clip and he pulled it out of the clip. CGER dated 9/4/15. I would definitely write in here to CGER or any other documents that you've done so that the site coordinator knows that those exist. Once you're done with the skin wound, you're going to come down here and click submit. And I have an error, which I'm really good at, I guess, during these trainings. So let's see what I forgot to fill in. All right, what didn't I put in here that was required? Because I put Band-Aid here and dry dressing, I'll just click other. And I'll come down and now I'll submit it. Yay, it liked it that time. Okay, so what's going to happen now, that's all that you have to do. The site coordinator is going to review and approve your skin wounds. And what will happen is on your dashboard, you will have a notification in your to-do list the next time you're on shift that you have a skin wound to review. And I don't have one in here to show you, but it'll say skin wound review. You're then going to open that up and you are responsible for checking on that wound at least once a day to ensure it's healing, and that needs to be documented. So you're going to click on your skin wound and then you're going to add to it. Your site coordinator can help you if you struggle with understanding how to add information to that GER. All right, that's all I have for you. I hope you have fun practicing. You can now proceed to the next slide.